Hello guys, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about these boats and ice paths and proper ways to end them so you don't end up flying off the track like this, having to jump out of your boat, break it, all that kind of stuff. That's just a total mess. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at 3 different methods of collecting your boats so that way you don't fly off, you'll be able to properly stop, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have the 3 different designs up on the screen right now. And if you want, you can click on any of the 3, or if you'd rather, you can just watch the video all the way through. You probably don't have anything better to do anyways, let's be honest. So I'll get started with the first one right now. The first one is really simple. All you'll need is the items in this chest here and those amounts, and really there's no excuse not to have at least something as simple as this at the end so your boats aren't flying off. As you can see here, I'm almost done with it already. I can just demonstrate here. I've already built one on the other side. You will want to do this on every end. As you hit the cactus, your boat will be collected into the chest here, and maybe you have a bunch of these already in here, so you know, if you don't have the same number of trips back and forth, you'll be fine. But really, it is that simple. I don't even really need to do any, place this block here, place that block here. It's really, you can just look at this and you'll know exactly what you need to build. It's that simple. The next design is going to use an item dropper to put the boat directly into your offhand. So that way you don't have to rummage around a chest. That can be so very tedious. So we're just going to have some stairs leading up this way. And we're going to skip one so that we have room for this. And then basically the same thing as the last design. And we're going to want to put a pressure plate on top of there and go ahead and chuck some boats into the system here. So that way if I have an empty handout, I can walk over this, it'll give me a boat, and I can plop it down here and go on my way across here. And the reason it's off to the side, if you're wondering, is so that way when you're coming back, you don't have to like hop over it or something. It's just off a little bit out of the way. So that way you can just walk by. You might want to add something on the side here just so the shape is a little bit more symmetrical. You don't have to if you don't want to. And that's it for that one. One thing I did forget to mention was the supplies you need for the second design. So all of those will be in the chest right here in the correct amounts that you need to build the minimal design. Now the last couple designs have been pretty simple, but if you're like me, you'll be sitting there thinking, hold on, I've got to place these boats myself. Now, if that's you, this last design is going to be the perfect one for you. Just hit this button, and in just a second, a bolt will fall out of the ceiling, and you can go riding off on your way. Now, this one is a little bit more complicated than the other 2, but it's still not too hard. The redstone line comes in through this torch tower, activates this dispenser, which is loaded up with boats. And then this piston will double pulse out and push it off the edge, falling through this little skylight here. Now we're going to cover this up as well, but I left it open here so you can see what's going on. And the way you replenish the boats, there's a item elevator over here. The hopper line runs right from the cactus over to here, and every time there's an item in here, it will pulse, sending it up and back into the dispenser to be shot out again. Now, without further ado, we're going to get on with this tutorial. To get started on this last one, everything you need is going to be in this chest right here. There's a couple of things to note on that. The amount of hoppers you need is going to depend on your build. You're obviously going to need more than one. You don't have to use hardened clay here. Any solid block will do for this redstone. I like to use different colors so I can see what's going on better. You will need both a dispenser and a dropper. And you don't have to use glass. I just usually use glass for my item elevators, even though you don't really have to. So the first thing you want to do is to knock a hole in your ceiling. So not the first block here, but the second block. You're going to want to go straight up and knock out these 2 blocks and make a 2x3 hole. Now this has to do with the way that the boat hitbox is, just so it has enough room to get through and so it doesn't look like it's hanging off the edge when it comes out. There's going to be a dropper here, and we're going to run this through to an item elevator in a minute. But we're going to get going with the rest of the build before that. So we're going to put our input right over here. You can put it wherever you want, but this probably makes the most sense for this build. So we're going to put some redstone right here. And we're going to go ahead and actually fill in this right now before we forget. We're going to run a torch tower up So just a block there, redstone torch, block, redstone torch, and so on until we get up to the top here. And we're going to run this right into our whole system here. Alright, now this is going to be the main circuit for the whole thing. So first of all, we're going to want to put some fence gates running around here. This is just going to be able to keep the water in place. But the nice thing about open fence gates is that they actually don't have a hitbox. No matter what you do, you will not run into them. So that makes them ideal for this kind of situation. We're going to put the dispenser right here and put a water bucket there. That should block that in. And then we're going to run a repeater on one tick into there and run some redstone over like this. And now we're actually going to use the observer block so we can get a double pulse out of this. And we're going to run that into a sticky piston over here. Whoops. Facing that way. And into a block. So this will push the boat off. Now all you'll want to do is put a repeater. You're going to want to set this one to 4 ticks. And put redstone on top of the observer and behind there. And if we can grab a button, and actually, you'll also want to go ahead and put some boats into this dispenser. But if we can grab a button here, we can go ahead and test the whole system. That's exactly what we want to do, so that's working perfectly. A quick note here, you actually only need redstone dust in the spot running into the dispenser. You do not need a repeater. As you can see, it works absolutely fine this way. I was just being a bit silly. But as you might notice, you're eventually going to run out of boats. You can only hold 9 boats in a dispenser at a time, so it's going to run out pretty quickly. So we're actually going to run this hopper down through here. I've already pre-dug a tunnel. Now what you're going to want to do is put a dropper there, and you're going to run this up. It doesn't have to be exactly here, but I just made it the minimum distance away so it won't run into my wall or anything. And we're actually going to run an item elevator straight into there. Now the way to put droppers onto, hoppers onto droppers is you're just going to hold shift and you go along just like this, and you're going to want to run this all the way up there to where the other one is. But I am going to go right into the redstone here. This is a really, really basic circuit. It's a really good one to know. So what we're going to do is, after I clear out this tiny bit of room here, we're going to run a comparator off of this dropper into a repeater. That's going to run into a block, and you're going to have redstone on this side and redstone on this side, but you don't want this side to connect to the comparator, so you're going to put a repeater to run it into a block, and that's going to activate this. So whenever you put a bunch of items into this dropper, it's going to keep shooting them out until it's absolutely done. And then we're going to be constructing a item elevator through here. Now you can have anything you want in this space. I'm going to fill it up with glass just so we can see everything that's going on. And all you have to do is fill up every little bit in a 3x3 area with blocks. It doesn't have to be glass, doesn't have to be anything. You can have a mixture of different types of blocks as long as it's all filled in and there's not like air blocks and stuff in the middle. So I'm going to do that all the way up to the top, and I'm going to meet you up there. I've gone ahead and built the tower up to where I need this to be. This is exactly what yours should look like. It doesn't have to be glass, like I said. It can be anything. But you know you got to the right part when you're lined up with your dispenser. And now what we're going to do is we're going to run a hopper line all the way like this, right up until the center block here. And then we're actually going to cover this up with another couple layers so that when the items come out, they'll actually land in this air pocket and fall into the hopper. I should also mention the little circuit I built there before. I did not come up with that. I'm not exactly sure who was the first one to do it. It's a pretty simple one, but I'm not taking credit for that. It's just, I actually think I saw it on Iskalls' video, so I can link that below. I don't think he made it either, but I'll go ahead and link that anyways. So this is actually, I believe this is actually all done. We have everything completed that I can think of. Oh, that's right. The last thing we want to do is go ahead and cover this up so we don't have a skylight unwantedly at the top of our tunnel here. So all you'll have to do, I mean, this is pretty This isn't anything too difficult here, but you want to build around so you won't be hitting the boat or anything as it's trying to come down. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Also, if you would comment, if you guys have any boat-related redstone contraptions in your world, let me know what those are. And just comment if you have anything to say about the video. Go ahead if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.